Howdy doody everybody, I hope you are doing great. In today's video we are talking about Monster Hunter Stories 2 and I am here with Paradise.
I'm back. Good to be back. I like these ones. I like talking about how things can improve, and to clarify, that doesn't mean we hate them. It just means all games can be even better with a few changes, you know?
Yeah, so we did this for Rise, but we're going to go back and we're going to reflect on Stories 2 on some aspects of it that we didn't particularly enjoy, but we feel would make a good game even better. So we're going to talk about some subjects and go through them and kind of our big glaring issues. So Paradise, you want to start us off with your first issue? I think this one's going to be big for the community in general, and people have spoke about it at length. So yeah, Paradise, what's your first one?
So the OG Stories players will know it, and it is a big point of contention with Stories 2. It's to bring back the element changing mechanic, the color changing mechanic, where essentially you could make any monster, any element type by feeding it those genes, and it changes it to its primary element over to whatever you want it to be. So you could have like, a fire Zamtrios, for example, or like a fire Puke or something like that, right? There's so many reasons why it's such a good system for like there's layers, right? It means that there's more variety there's more freedom in your builds, there's more variety in PvP and like co-op online. It's more of a surprise when you see what like your friend's party is made out of, and it just adds that spice into the game, and particularly I'm feeling it particularly now at the end game of Stories 2. Where it's like, oh, I really wish I could try this build on this monster because it's like core stats like match up the idea nicely, but you just can't do it because you have to stick to their primary element. And then on top of that, it's a really cool like cosmetic change as well, like to like change the color of a monster's like moves, of their kinship, how they look, because they're now a different element. And I really wish that they would bring that back for maybe the next Stories game, or if it's even possible, patch it in, which I'm not sure that it is, but it would just be so fun. It would just add so much more time that you could put into the game to make things like that you want to make, like unique monsters and builds and stuff like that.
Yeah, there'll definitely be some issues when it comes to like balancing that in the game, in terms of like people might just take the strongest monster and just make it into whatever element or whatever.
That's exactly what I
but like then that means that there's not going to be that much variety in monsters. If that's the case, people will probably like just take a Teostra or a Nergigante and just make them any elemental type. But if they found a balance between making sure that there's variety and it was balanced in some type of way, then it's just a cool system. If you see the monsters in the different colors, it's actually awesome. So I want to see that system back as well myself. But the next one, and it's my one, I feel like this is super important. So as someone that is grinding the endgame aspect, and just for people actually playing through the game in general, I'm just so over this for like Monster Hunter games. Their skill descriptions are just horrid to me now. I could stand it back in like all the other Monster Hunter games, but now it's just like in Stories, it's just had such an impact on the way that I build builds. It's like, for instance, let me give you guys an example. There's moves that say moderately or greatly increase, but then there's skills that say just inflicts. So say if it says like has a high chance of inflicting paralysis. For like, give me a skill that inflicts paralysis. Do you know any?
Lightning Blade.
Lightning Blade. That's like a low chance, right?
It's medium damage, medium chance.
Medium chance. But then you have something like Vengeful Thunder that has just inflicts paralysis, but that inflicts paralysis is 30%. How does that match up to the other skills? I don't know. I want to know.
Exactly true. Basically, because I was looking into this a lot. You kind of have to when you're making builds, right? Every move has its own like damage value, and some of them are the same. If they say low, it might be like 20. That's like the average. Medium is like 40. Heavy is like 80. But some moves do like over 80. Some do nearer to 80. Like you say, the inflict rate of things is all over the place. Some moves crit, and you don't know that unless you like test it, or unless someone out there's tested it. And some don't crit. and all kinds of like just crazy nuanced things like that that are really important when you're like making your final end game build. And it seems like right now the only way to get that information is to, one, test it yourself. So me and you have done a lot of testing on different things, and it's very time consuming to farm the genes, max out the move, go into a PvP, go into a trial, test it out. It doesn't do what I wanted it to do, scrap it, farm again, test the next move you were thinking of, and that just is a huge time consuming process.
Yeah.
The other way is like data mining, right? And that's just like, you're just left to the behest of people that are capable of doing that, and it's like this gray area of like, well, is that allowed or not? Is it okay to just like to do that and then to just make, throw it out there? I don't know. It should be readily available information in the game, right?
Yeah.
I've had countless comments of people that just don't understand like what build they should be making because the descriptions are so vague. In some cases, wrong, and I think it would just help the game as a whole if that was actually just there in the menus, in game.
If you're a new player or someone that doesn't necessarily have like the time investment for it as well, there's no way that you're going to be going out there testing. So then you go up against other people and other people are just like, do you know that this skill did this? Your build is like rubbish. And then it kind of just it defeats you almost, like, because you didn't know that. But if they just like told you and had like good descriptions for the skills, then you'll be a lot more informed on what you can do, and we can experiment a little bit more on like everything, right? Rather than like wasting time. Is it wasting time? I guess discovery is part of it as well, right? When we don't have the exact skill descriptions, we have almost this like discovery part of the game as well, where we're going through testing and stuff, and that is kind of fun, but it is also time consuming. Not every time that I want to go ahead and like do that after like the first time or whatever. But what is your next point? Talking about that, because I feel like your next point kind of really leads into this one. So what is your next point?
Exactly, it's the perfect segue.
Yeah.
The next thing that I really want is some kind of a gene bank. So I've been playing this game a lot, okay? I'm actually almost maxed out my stables. I'm coming up on the 500 cap of monsters that you can have. So I'm going to have to do some house cleaning at some point, which I'm not excited to do. But I would just love it if, when you got a monster that has a gene on it that you want, if you could just, what's the word, like, just yoink the gene from that monster, pluck it from that build, and just have it in some kind of more easily digestible and like user-friendly UI, where it's like, okay, now I'm building a monster, I can pull up my gene bank, I've got all these ones saved, slot them in where you want, because what you have to do right now is to just literally go through pages and pages of monsters that's like, where's that thunder boost, where's that thunder boost, and you just have to keep scrolling until you find it, and it gets real old real quick when you're making a lot of builds.
Definitely.
So just some kind of way to bank the genes that you can then easily pull them out, and so that you can also just see what you have, because sometimes I'll be going through my monsters and I'll forget, like, oh, I already farmed this out, I didn't realize I had a couple ice boosts or whatever it is that I need already saved. Whereas if it was in a UI with like a list and it's like, yeah, I've got 2 of those genes, 1 of those, it would just make, I think, everyone's life easier,
Yeah, they could literally just take the book of genes and apply it to like the writer channeling menu, and you could just go through and apply them there, sort of, to your monsters that you want. But that's just me. Capcom, please make it easier to do your channeling in your game, so that we can build better monsters and everyone can have like a bunch of fun doing so. The next one for me kind of goes into that one as well, in terms of like genes, and in the game there's definitely a deficiency on some of the element types, and it's one that I didn't think I was going to have a particular issue of when the game like started or before the game was even released, but it's just the lack of having like no water monsters, really. Like, some of the water monsters are not up there with like the best of the best, and some of the other elements just have so many different options, and like non-elementals got it in droves, fire's just got like so much options and what you can select there. So for water monsters, come on, where's my Namiel? Where is my Almadron? Where's all the other ones that we can walk on? And the fact that we're just like missing Plessy is kind of a madness. You guys can let me know what you guys think of this one when it comes to like rideable monsters and like genes and stuff. And you guys might know more water monsters that you can actually put in, because my like knowledge of all the water monsters like is not necessarily ones that I pay much attention to in the main game aside from like Namiel, because the first time I saw Namiel, I was like,
Namiel's so
beautiful. Yeah.
I completely agree. I think the same problem is with dragon monsters, which is crazy because there's a lot of dragons, there's a lot of elder dragons, but there's not a lot of dragon element. Like, there's no speed dragon attack, for example. Like, there just is not a single one, which is its own issue. But very similar to water monsters. I think you're right. Namiel would look so good in the Stories 2 style. I really wish that they will add Namiel in at some point in the future. But it makes me think about what I was hoping that Kolv Taroth would do to fix that, which would be to have like, you know, a relic system where you can change gene elements or something like that, because that would be like an interim solution that would just help. But yeah, I think more spread of different genes across all of the elements would be a really nice thing to have. Like more water monsters, because right now it's like Water Palamute, we know that Soul Seer's coming, and I'm very excited for Soul Seer. I think that will hopefully change the tide on water monsters. But more dragon moves as well would be cool. Basically, more spread around genes for the less favorite different elements.
Cool. So what's your next point for us? I think this is
the
a
next
huge
one.
one. This one would take the game to like the next level, Paradise. The next level. Talk to the people on this one. Come on.
I have to prepare people by saying, look, it's a Switch game. I know this, and maybe there are limitations there that make this impossible, but I can still hope and I can still dream. I would just love it if there was a more seamless multiplayer experience, maybe even bringing an open world in that. Imagine if instead of going to the quest board and queuing up through like the multiple layers of menu screens that you have to go through, it's just you go out into the world and there's a couple riders out there in the open world like attacking monsters. You could jump in and help them get the XP and the parts. Maybe if they go down that route of a more like seamless open world experience, you could start doing things like world bosses where like everyone comes together and all that kind of stuff. So I think if they just went a little bit more MMO, it would just be so cool. And Pokemon games have been like missing out on this for ages as well. Like, Pokemon games need to do the same, and at the moment no one's really done it very well.
Temtem.
Sorry, what were you gonna say?
I said Temtem. Temtem did it, right?
Temtem did it, but it's for me, I want like the full MMO experience where it's like everyone's in the open world, you got like world bosses, jump in, help people fight, level up, capture the monster, you retreat it, get your friends in. All that. Because you do all that stuff in Temtem? Because I only played Temtem very briefly in like the early access period.
Do I look like someone that played Temtem Paradise? No. I heard that Temtem's a very good game, but it just had like little small issues. But it just didn't interest me. Stories is a different thing. It just looks cool to me, and there's a couple of like Pokemon games like the new ones that are coming out that look semi-interesting. I know the community over there has some issues with what's happening with those Pokemon games, but for me it looks intriguing enough for someone that doesn't necessarily play Pokemon games all that much, which might sound like shock you as someone that's just been playing so much Stories, but like Stories, I just love it. I don't even know what it is. It's just cool to me. So yeah, maybe I'm just biased for Monster Hunter, and that's what the love is basically. So, and the last one, it is a small issue, but a huge issue at the same time. Can we please get Navirou to stop stopping us every time we walk into a dungeon in single player? I don't know why it doesn't happen in multiplayer. It doesn't happen in like other ways that you do it, but there's even a mod on PC. Someone modded it out on PC, but in single player in this game, every time you walk into a dungeon, Navirou is like, "Hey, that monster's asleep. Hey, there's no monster here. I can see that there's no monster here, Navirou. Are you?"
Navirou, this is my 2000th den that I've gone in. Please stop. You know what though? On that same topic, I know quite a few people online who just want Navirou. Like, they don't just want that removed; they just want Navirou like removed from the game.
I don't mind him, man. Like, Navirou is like, I don't know. People like, I feel like the fact that people are hating on him makes me like him even more. It's just like, I know every time Navirou's on screen, he's annoying someone, even if that is me. So it's a good time for me, basically. So it's like the troll in me, the chaotic side is just loving the fact that Naviru's in the game. But I do wish he would stop stopping me every time that we walked into a den. What's your stance on Naviru? What's your stance, guys, in watching this video? What do you feel about Naviru?
I have a question that I need to ask people to put in the comments. Okay, if you could remove one character, Kyle or Naviru, who are you removing? That's what I want to see what people think.
I wouldn't even remove Kyle. You know, the character that like really annoyed me in the story is Enna. Like, she just jarred me. I hated her opinions. I hated the way that she was all high and mighty. I hated the way that she just let things happen. I'm not even gonna do story spoilers, even though you shouldn't really be watching this video if you didn't want spoilers. But come on, like,
I didn't. Yeah. I will say, I'll throw out there, I didn't mind Enna. I thought Enna was okay. For me,
yeah, go on.
For me, I think, like, I didn't mind Naviru's puns too much. They are a little grating, but I could live with it. Kyle, on the other hand, like, every time he's in your party, he just has nothing good to say.
No, he got there in the end. He got there in the end. Like,
but 2-6, you had to take him in the end. You didn't have the choice. Like, imagine if at the end it was like, I'm gonna pick who's gonna come through for me.
Yeah.
But no, it has to be Kyle. He has to get his redemption.
It will be Kena, like, all the time. Like, she's just too good. And I like every time that she does her ability thing. So I was like, ah! It's great. Anyway, guys, that is the end of the video. So, Paradise, what do you have coming for us today?
I have had to restrain myself from just talking about it in this video. The new Netflix Monster Hunter Legends of the Guild dropped today. So we have both watched it, and we're gonna just have our sort of thoughts and opinions on it over on my channel.
Lovely. If you guys have made it to the end of the video, don't forget to let us know by answering Paradise's question about if you prefer Kyle or Naviru. That is the phrase for the end of the video to make sure that, to let us know that you've made it to the end and you're an absolute boss. Anyway, guys, see you on the next video. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. Don't forget you can subscribe so you don't miss another video.